Coming up on In Your Neighborhood, we'll take you to one of the largest brewers in the country, located in Williamsport. New Trail has only been in existence for 5.5 years. Plus, it's a sport that has been around since the 60s, but hasn't really taken off until recently. We'll play a little pickleball.
There are a lot of avenues you can take to market your business, but one easy choice to make. The SECV8 Community Bulletin Board is an inexpensive way for you to get directly into the homes of the potential customers you want to reach. The Community Bulletin Board costs $6 a day and can reach up to 54,000 households. You can find out more by heading to secv8.com.
I'm Jamie Kaler, back for a new season of America Facts vs. Fiction, debunking the half-truths in American history. For example, the largest stash of gold isn't found at Fort Knox. It's below the streets of the Big Apple. And General Ike, well, he didn't always play by the rules. In fact, he stepped up to the plate under an alias to avoid being thrown out of West Point. We're unlocking the vault to secure the truth behind America's treasured secrets. Get it? America Facts vs. Fiction on AHC.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to do.
Life on Mars never stops.
We specialize in bringing old houses back to life.
It's gorgeous.
Renovating with TLC like it's their own.
It's a perfect solution for this small kitchen.
It's exciting to be able to give it back.
Fixer to Fabulous, all new Tuesday at 8 on HGTV.
Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke, and we hit the road today. We're in Williamsport to take you to a company that is blazing a trail in the brewing industry to become one of the largest in the country. And the cool thing is that you can buy their beer at a store near you. This is the quintessential shot if you're a beer lover. A bartender tipping the tap handle to release the golden goodness into a glass, and hopefully putting that glass on a bar in front of you to enjoy. It's something you can experience every day of the week but Monday at New Trail Brewing Company's tap room in Williamsport. Monday was, of course, the day we were here, and it is the busiest day of the week for them, despite the fact they're not open. It's because they start production Sunday afternoon and run for 24 hours. There certainly was plenty going on when we arrived. They were making mash in the hot room, manning the fermentation tanks, and not only filling kegs, but canning their most popular beer, Broken Heels. It takes 6 people to man the canning line, and at its maximum speed, it can churn out 250 cans a minute. So about 10 cases a minute. All of this is taking place at a building located in a warehouse complex in Williamsport's Newberry section. It's a building that New Trail has expanded into over the past 5.5 years in what co-owner and director of brewing operations Mike LaRosa says isn't typical growth for the beer industry. Also in that time, the company has gone from about 3 employees to the low 60s. It started with 5 to 7 beers and has made about 350 different kinds since. They've also gone from being hyper-local, serving Lycoming County and the surrounding 10 counties, to now reaching the major markets in PA, Philly, Pittsburgh, Erie, in most, if not all, of Maryland and New Jersey. Finally, to put a capper on the impressive growth this company has experienced, they're expected to go from their place as the 95th largest brewing company in the country into the 60s within the year. Keep in mind, there are 9,500 craft brewing companies in the country right now. La Rosa has been in the picture from the start, although his beer experience goes back a long way, from the Newcastle Brown Ale he had at his parents' house to an internship at Rock Bottom Brewery at the King of Prussia Mall. He also worked for a number of brewing companies over the years and eventually started his own consulting business to help brewers get started. That's how his partners with the then Williamsport Brewing Company found him.
My partners are from Williamsport, or rather they've been doing business in Williamsport for 22, 23 years at this point.
Okay.
My partners Dave, Charles, and Tony. Dave and Charles specifically opened a business in 2001. They opened a nightclub called the Cell Block, which is in downtown, Williamsport. Mm-hmm. And from there, they sort of had like a small empire of of restaurants and bars along the way. They've had really every concept you can think of. They've had a handful of nightclubs. They've had fine dining. They owned restaurants in Erie, Pennsylvania. They had gastropubs and craft beer bars and family casual restaurants, and it was a natural evolution for them to want to move towards manufacturing of beer because they'd always been really passionate about craft beer in their businesses. I put a listing up for my business, and sort of got lucky, that my listing was up at the right time that they were looking, and we worked well together. In a professional client consultant manner, and they kind of realized that they couldn't do this without somebody that had a really solid background in brewing, and that had always been their goal, was to find a brewer and find somebody to come in and kind of man the reins of that side of the operation. And it just happened to work out that I really liked them. I really liked Williamsport. I had never really been to Williamsport prior to working with them.
They started off by brewing traditional beers, 5 to 7 different kinds in the first 5 to 7 days they could brew. But Mike knew the IPA they were doing once in a while was the king and would drive sales, so they eventually put the focus on the hazy IPA. Also, the name Williamsport Brewing Company was just something on a piece of paper. They eventually settled on New Trail because La Rosa and his 3 partners, Dave Hertwig, Charles Imbro, and Tony Ecker, are all big into the outdoors: skiing, hiking, rock climbing, and kayaking. And with that love of the outdoors came beers with outdoor-based names like Broken Heels, Crisp Lager, and Flannel Weather. Is there a process involved in naming each beer, or is it just one of those things that just pops into your head?
A lot of arguing. No, just kidding. Some of them come pretty quickly. Like, there are things that we know and we love, and we want to make a beer about, I don't know, goggles, right? That's the beer of the week this week for us. So, my partner that's a big skier is like, oh, we should make a beer about goggles. Well, goggles is a good name. We should just call it goggles.
Well, like beer goggles almost.
Yeah, well, that was kind of the joke too at the time. Flannel Weather is another one. Like, everybody owns a flannel.
They also recently came out with a beer called State Light that you're very likely to find at Beaver Stadium. And you can also buy New Trail beers at Lincoln Financial Field for an Eagles game, or at Subaru Park, where the Philadelphia Union play. Of course, you can also enjoy their beers here at their tap room. Not the 350 that we mentioned. They tend to stick with a core of 12 to 14 on tap here, which is also how they handle their canning operations. They knew the cans would drive their business, but wanted the tap room to make a connection with their community and give people a place to interact while drinking their beer. So they very quickly converted this section of their building. They didn't do much because they liked the brick They put up a wooden structure behind the bar, painted a logo on the wall, and called it a day. How else would you explain words like defoamer that were left on the wall, except to say that maybe all beer drinkers can be considered defoamers? Get it? You'll find it to be a very nice spot if you visit. There's no hostess. You go to the bar, order a beer, by the way, they don't serve food here, and then grab a seat. And it may be next to someone you don't know, an added bonus. What you may not know is what lurks just beyond the tap room, which is why we had Mike give us a tour. And it started in the hot room, although at one time, this was the room where they had their whole operation. The hot room is where they start the process of making beer, essentially beginning by making sugar water, a flavorful sugar water that you can flavor at any point. They start off with milled grains, and from there they steep them in hot water to create what is called a mash. On this day, Ryan was busy making a mash for a beer called Frost, a hazy IPA. And the mash extracts enzymes, sugars, and flavor. And they're trying to just take the liquid from that vessel and send it over into the kettle. And then the kettle does what you think it does. From that point, they can add hops, sugar, and spices before heading to a whirlpool to spin out all of the solids.
Oh, I mean, some of it's a little bit like math, right? Like, if you're trying to extract a certain amount of sugar out of something, you need, X amount of malt to be able to get that amount of sugar. Okay. And then from there, within that, you can play around with ratios in order to get flavors. So some of it's formulaic, and some of it's, kind of like being a chef. It's a really interesting juxtaposition between being having a understanding of applied physics, applied bio, applied chem, and then taking a chef's mind and putting it over top of all of that.
That's an incredible mix right there.
Yeah, keeps me on my toes.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
The mixture then gets cooled and heads to the fermentation tanks. And this is the fermentation room, which looks like a tank farm. There are 48 of them in here, ranging in size from 500 gallons to 8,000 gallons.
The whole process that we saw over on hot side takes anywhere from 6 to 8 hours to create the wort, the sugar water. It gets cooled down, it gets sent over here, and then we add the yeast to it. And fermentation takes about 7 days or so for the yeast to eat all the sugar, to create the alcohol, to create CO2. And then from the finish of fermentation, it takes anywhere from another 7 to 21 days, depending upon the style of beer, for us to consider it finished.
So will a beer move from a smaller tank to a larger tank?
Not typically. Okay. Typically, they're gonna live in this room until they're ready to be transferred to be packaged.
Okay.
So.
And that's when they're freshest?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we consider the beer to be freshest, is right at transfer.
So how many beers could be of your beers and different beers could be in this room at one time?
If there's 48 tanks, we could have 48 different beers going in theory. So, in theory. I'd say that there's probably anywhere between 15 different types of beer going probably right now, 15 different beers going right now.
From here, the beer heads over to another set of tanks in the canning room, where it is injected with carbon dioxide to give it carbonation. From the tanks, it will either be put into kegs or cans. The can that comes out here that Mike likes the most is Lazy River Pils. He made it for his mom, who always drank Coors Light, but has since switched to Lazy River, which also won them an award from the 2019 Great American Beer Festival. They generally try to remain innovative by making 1 to 4 new beers every other week.
I'm constantly learning. There's always something to learn about making beer, and there's always new flavors to find, but that could be as simple as finding a new hop, or it could be as complex as learning a new, very intricate procedure in brewing, or just thinking about something differently.
And you can find New Trail beer at a place near you in either 12, 16, or even 19 ounces. And stop by the website for more information on them. Now from getting pickled to playing one of the hottest sports in the country that you can find at a gym near you.
SECV, connected to our communities for 75 years. We provide communication services that connect friends and family. We're connecting with our neighbors through support of local causes and events, connecting our students and schools to a world of learning resources, and connecting you to the latest technology with local customer service. Our customers, our community, our mission. Since 1948. SECV.com.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carl Bauer. Join me as we sit down with some local sports legends of the past. From state champions to gold medalists, we catch up and find out whatever happened to those fantastic local athletes. Join me every Monday at 2 and 6 p.m. for Catching Up with Carl, only on Service Electric Cablevision, channel 508 HD.
This fall.
This is the bravest thing I've ever done in my life.
This is my last chance at love.
The original love story.
We don't get no better than this.
90 Day Fiancé, all new, Sundays at 8 on TLC.
Taking over Orlando. Be there for the ultimate flag football showdown.
What a catch!
Plus, skills competitions.
Come on!
Star appearances and unforgettable fan moments. The Pro Bowl games, Sunday, February 4th. Get your tickets now.
Nice. Don't be fooled by this. I would consider it one of the few highlights of my first time playing pickleball. There were plenty more lowlights, like the stretch of at least 20 failed attempts at a serve. As I learned, there are a fair amount of rules, including the fact that you have to serve into the red area. My downfall initially. The ball also has to hit the floor twice before you can begin volleying. And then there was the kitchen. Let's just say that just like at home, you want to stay out of the kitchen. And what was it about the zone there that I
Okay, so this is the non-volley zone.
Okay.
So you have to stay behind this. You cannot touch the line or go in there.
Okay.
Hit a ball out of the air. If it hits the ground, you can go in and play it, then you have to get back.
Okay.
If they hit you with the ball and you're in there, it's their point.
Okay, got it.
You were in the kitchen.
Oh, shoot.
Because it was a volley, you went in. You want to let that drop. So very good, you learn now.
I was in the kitchen again. I wanted a snack. So you see, there is plenty to think about when playing this sport, which may well be the hottest one in the country right now, even though it's been around since the 60s. There were an estimated 36.5 million pickleball players in the United States in 2022, according to the Association of Pickleball Professionals. Pickleball participation has grown an average of almost 159% over the last 3 years, making pickleball the fastest growing sport in America over that time. These rabid enthusiasts were at the Danville Area Community Center on this morning, playing on their multi-purpose courts that are now lined for pickleball too.
And in 2018, when I came aboard, we had pickleball nets available, but there weren't stable days and set times that pickleball players could be playing. It took a couple years of growth, and we actually had a clinic. We had a pickleball ambassador from the Lycoming County area come down a couple times and kind of teach us more about pickleball, and from there it kind of grew. So we went from a 2-day program a week, eventually now to a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday morning, Thursday night, and a Sunday night program. So it really started to help grow the program. And then just recently in the last year, we've added from 2 hours each time to a 4-hour time.
Law Boss says the attraction is that it's a sport that everyone can play. They even have middle schoolers and gym classes that are doing it. She says it's really important to say that it's a multi-generational sport, and that was so true on this day. While you saw plenty of retirees and people over 50, there also was a young adult in the mix. While it has increased memberships here at the center, there also are people who just pay the $5 fee each time to play, while Geisinger Gold takes care of the membership fee for its members. While it varies by the day, on average about 30 to 40 members and guests show up to play during pickleball hours.
So it's nice because usually Tuesday, Thursday, Friday mornings, it's a little bit of a slower time in a basketball court area. Our high volume basketball time is in the evenings when we have high schoolers and middle schoolers that want to play basketball. But in the daytime, it's kind of nice to have that additional play time here and available for them.
Many of the players today are members of a group called the Dappers, Danville Area Pickleball Players. And they actually have an app for that, or at least you can find them on the Team app. Players go to the app to let the other members know if they'll play on a certain day. Because there are only 3 courts, only 12 people can play at a time. So they have a rotational system.
What we do here is because we can only play 12 at one time. If there's more than 12, we put our paddles along the wall, and when somebody wins, those 2 stay on, split up, and the next 2 go in. So it's constant rotation. You don't sit out very long.
And you have a new teammate each time, right?
Pretty much. We try to mix it up so we're always with somebody new.
Diane Soanes is a health and phys ed teacher and has been teaching pickleball for 20 years. While she prefers to play it outside, she'll take indoor play any day during the winter just to stay active.
The physical activity is number one. It helps with my flexibility, my cardiovascular. As you can see, I just got done playing. And then the social aspect. I've met some really terrific people here, made nice connections, and it's a sport that can be played in all age groups, all abilities. As you watch, there are people that are very skilled, and then there are ones that just come for the fun of it. So it's a great sport.
Diane had the unenviable task of teaching me how to play and was a very patient instructor, especially during that stretch of bad serves.
Okay, put your hand down a little further. You want as much flexibility as you get.
Okay.
It wasn't all bad though, as we had our occasional winning point. We were joined on the court by Eric Wortman of Danville, a former tennis player and ping pong enthusiast who was first exposed to pickleball during a trip to South Carolina and thought he would end up only playing it there until he discovered the group here and the DAC courts.
It's an awesome group to play with. You know, one of the things that is so special about this sport is the community that it supports. I've heard somebody say it's for the young and the young at heart. And how many sports do you know where you can have an 80-year-old and an 18-year-old on the same court playing together, and the 80-year-old actually wins? So it's the sport's designed to help compensate so that you can play hard, or you can play smart, or you can play a combination of both. So it's got some very, very interesting rules and aspects to it.
Eric agrees with Diane in that the sport is much better when playing outside. And the Dappers have been searching for a dedicated spot to do just that. The DAC is planning outside courts with pickleball as an option as part of a large expansion, but the group says that while they understand the center has to keep them multi-purpose, they want their own spot. So the leader of the Danville Business Alliance pointed them in the direction of Sunnybrook Park, and they are now raising $700,000 to build dedicated pickleball courts with lights at this site. They say one of the complaints about outdoor pickleball play is that it can be a little noisy and neighbors aren't too fond of that. This remote location will eliminate any concerns over noise and the lighting. Until that time though, they have the deck to play at, where you don't have to worry about rain or snow. You just have to make sure you stay out of the kitchen.
You drew me into the kitchen.
So don't stand too close. Give yourself a bit so that if you do fall, you have room.
That's right, don't forget about that kitchen or about the fact that you can play pickleball at the DAC. Check out their website at danvilleacc.com. And if you have a segment idea for us, send it to us at IYN@secv8.com or send it to our Facebook page. And that's going to do it for us. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again next time, maybe from in your neighborhood.